Eve and the whole Co-Network for inviting us out today. Y'all give yourselves a round of applause. Come on, man. I say clap for yourselves. I ain't say clap for us. Yeah. So this is going to be a good show for us today, man. We're doing something a little different. This is our first live podcast with these two beautiful gentlemen up here, man. You know what I mean? They just came and blessed us and gave us some real good information. So we're going to dive into their story a little bit, get into their minds and kind of go into it. So welcome back to another edition of the Can I Be Real podcast. I am your host, Dion the Motivator.
Where y'all get this wing stuff from, man?
Yeah. Hey, can I be real? Where the food at? Yeah.
If they do a good job.
Yeah. He said, can I smell real? Yeah. So yeah, man, this is another episode, man. And like I said, I am your host, Dion the Motivator. My co-host, Mozzie, King Mozzie, the legendary. We got Mr. Carlos.
What's up, baby?
Mr. Flip Your Switch.
What's going on?
We got Mr. Obi.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Money Making Machine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So listen, let's just get right into it, man. Let's if y'all can just introduce yourselves to the audience. I know you kind of y'all got up. They kind of got a little bit about y'all, but like you can really introduce yourself, tell them where you from, and a little bit about it, and we'll get right into the discussion.
Yeah, I'll jump into it, man. Carlos V. Spencer. If you're gonna say my name, put some respect on it. Put the V in there. Don't ask me what it stands for, because I ain't gonna tell you anyway. My name is Carlos V. Spencer, though, man. Born and raised Buffalo, New York. Lived in Georgia for about 5 years. Just went back up there, man. It's a little cool, but I like the weather down here. It's kind of nice down here.
You ain't been down here long.
I ain't been out here long. I heard it get like hell hot when it get but it get freezing cold in Buffalo, man, from the 716. So shout out to anybody watching, man. 716, where I'm from, Buffalo. Born and raised, like I have 5 children, few businesses, work for a great nonprofit organization. We'll talk about some other things as well. Got a good book, Flip the Switch, man. Do several different things. My goal in life, 2 of them. Once I leave this earth, I want to stand before God and say I'm empty, because I use everything that you gave me. My other goal in my life is for my children and my children's children to look at pictures one day and say thank you. That means if they look at those pictures and never known me and saying thank you by looking at those pictures, it's because I've done something to affect their life. That's 2 goals for me. Yeah.
That's what's up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you gotta reevaluate. So I just want to go to a party on Friday. You know what I'm saying? Go to the movies on Saturday.
I love it.
Well, my name is Obina Ndu. Actually, the proper way to say it is Obina Ndu. So don't call me Obi-Wan Kenobi, none of that stuff. We'll be just fine, all right? Now, born and raised back home in Africa. Came here when I was 8. I'm 47, so that's why no accent. Just trying to get all that out of the way, because these are the questions I get as soon as they're like, oh, well, are you real? Because you don't have an accent. Yes, I am. But came to the country and had some pretty challenging situations growing up. Dad left when I was 11, so I got my first job at 11 years old. So I got introduced to money and how it all works at a very young age. And one thing I realized then was there are basically 2 economies in America. And one is a buyer and one is a supplier. And I realized that the suppliers were only 3% and the buyers were 97%. So for me, I said, I want to be on the 3% side. And so I started learning about entrepreneurship real young, started my first business at the age of 25. As I mentioned, I'm 47, hadn't worked a job since. So I've been blessed to do well in that arena. And you talk about life goals, since he mentioned goals, I'll mention my number 1 goal is what I leave in my children, not what I leave with my children. A lot of people are talking about what they're going to leave their kids and so on and so forth. I'm not giving them anything. I'm telling them up front now. They already know. But what I am going to leave them is the books that got me everything, the knowledge that got me everything. So I'm going to leave stuff in my kids, not with my kids. So, yeah.
See, I saw it already winning. I saw it winning.
Oh, they compete.
Yeah, they compete.
Oh, I didn't know they compete.
Hey, they don't know you got the bars. You got the bars. Don't worry. I got some alley hoop questions. Don't worry about it. I got some alley hoop questions
So
for you.
those are the LeBron side, the MJ side over here.
Why you gotta do that?
I'm just saying.
Right. Oh, no.
Think first, brother. Chicken or the egg?
Why you put me on the LeBron side is what I'm saying.
Oh, well, we'll stay focused.
Yeah, we amongst greatness either way. We're amongst greatness. great.
Yes,
That
sir.
one's great.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Definitely.
Yes,
We're gonna
sir.
go ahead. We're gonna start it off right how we would do any other show. My main thing for us is, the name of the show is "Can I Be Real?"
Yeah.
We give you what you need, not what you feel. We take a break from the bullshit. So can I be real? So, it's a lot of people in here. Obviously, the goal overall is to become successful in whatever it is that we're doing, right? So, for me, this is something I want to know from both of you is, well, how do you find your niche? Because I feel like a lot of people, they all have the same desire of, I want to be greater than what I was last year, but they have no direction.
Right.
So y'all both spoke about, even for you spoke about, no, it was you. By moving forward, when you have somebody to show you, to take you to that next level, you must have somebody to present something so you can get into your purpose. So how do you know, how do you find a niche? It's for you as well. How do you find a niche and, okay, this is where I need to be. This is how I take myself to the next level. This is what I do best.
Yeah. You want me to take that first?
You go first.
For me, one thing is definitely understand that it might be the same thing that somebody else is doing. A lot of people feel like, okay, I can't do this because somebody else is already doing it. I can't be a chef because somebody else is a chef. One of my mentors' friends, my children play sports. So my children play basketball. My two oldest have already graduated. I got a younger daughter, she's a senior. And he was doing some business, and the business he was doing, it was similar to some business somebody else was doing. And so I asked him a question, kind of just off the cuff, like, how can you be successful in that if other people have been successful? And he was like, your children play basketball. I said, yeah. He said, why? I said, what do you mean? He said, how come they just quit? I said, what do you mean? He's like, why are they playing? Somebody's already been successful at basketball.
Right.
He's like, you already got Michael Jordan, you already got LeBron, so there's no reason for them to play. I was like, I get it. He's like, just because somebody else is doing it doesn't mean that you can't be successful at it as well. That's right. So for me, I think a lot of people see, well, I can't get in this lane, or I can't do this because somebody else is already doing it. But somebody is looking for your specific, particular, your style, your way. Somebody wants it from you. So you could be doing the exact same thing as somebody else is doing, but somebody is looking for it from you. So from me, right off the bat, your niche may not be something that's brand new and nobody's ever done. No, you ain't got to recreate the wheel. Go and make that thing a little bit better. So number one is doing that. Number two, I think we're gonna touch on a little bit even later, is building yourself up, man.
Yeah.
Building yourself up and not being afraid. TD Jake said this. His son was talking to him, and his son was afraid. I find out a lot of people are afraid to step out and do something because they don't know what it is. Like, what's my niche? His son asked him the question, Dad, I don't know if I should do this. I don't know. What if this is not the thing? TD Jake's answering him, but what if it's the thing that leads to the thing? And a lot of people are afraid to do the thing, not knowing that they might not be the thing right there, but what if that's the thing that leads to the thing? There are a lot of people who became great doing something and found their niche on their way to their niche. For me, get going. Say, I don't know what it is. All right, move somewhere. You ain't gonna find it just sitting still. You get going, and I'm a firm believer that you also run into your purpose, or if you know your purpose, you run into things that will assist your purpose while you're on your way to the purpose. But you'll never run into those things, and sometimes you never run into it if you never go towards it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I often looked at that. I said, step 2 is hidden in step 1.
Say that again.
Step 2 is hidden in step 1. So until you take step 1, you won't see the other step. A headlamp on your car, you drive from the East Coast to the West Coast or one state to another, the headlamp is only shining at 200 feet increments. So how do you get from New York to California? It's in 200-foot increments. So you can only see at 200 feet per time. So you see that 200 feet, you drive that. Then it shows you another 200, you drive that. Step 2 is in step 1. But for people, I think the biggest question for people when it comes to purpose is, how do I find out what I'm good at? It's sometimes, and we were just talking about this, somebody in here, we were talking about that the hardest questions are usually the simplest ones. What do you want? It's such an easy question to answer, but why is it so tough? And I think that the best idea that I can share with someone in terms of finding purpose, what is that thing that you love to do that gives you energy that you would just do it for free? You're already doing it for free. You like playing basketball and it's just that thing you love to do. You like sewing, do you like talking, sharing with people? You like, baking, whatever it may be. And if you're still struggling with figuring that out, it's usually easiest for the people around you to tell you. Because they see it in you.
Do it all the time.
You know what I mean? Hey man, you're nice at basketball. Man, nobody bakes cookies like you. Man, you know, Dion, those t-shirts you make, they fit me the best. It asks the people around you, get that feedback. You know what I'm saying? So I would suggest for them, so remember, step 2 is hitting step 1. So don't try to figure it all out. Move. Motion creates emotion. And so once you get going, you'll figure out the rest of it. And here's the other thing I would say. From point A to point B is never a straight line. So which is where you are, it's point A. Where you want to end up is point B. Well, I want to be a billionaire. I want to be a millionaire. I want to have a husband. I want to get a wife. That's the destination. Most people think it's linear. No, this is what it actually looks like. The place you want to go to is over here. When you start, you're all over the place, and then eventually you land here. You know how you can prove it? A rocket ship, when it leaves Earth heading to the moon, is off track over 90% of the time. Facts. So that means if the Earth is here and the moon is there, if it's off track over 90% of the time, that means it takes off and you're almost going in the opposite direction. So you say, well, how in the world does the rocket eventually land on the moon? It's constantly adjusting, constantly adjusting. But it's moving in order to know what to adjust to. But if you sit still, how do you know what to adjust to?
That's good. Hey, we up 1.
Oh, we are
Yeah, we up 1. Yeah. We up 1. We up 1. Yeah.
We up.
Yeah, we up 1. Yeah, I just gotta let it. I'm keeping score. You know what I mean? I'm just letting y'all know I'm keeping score. Can I be real? Can I be real? So I heard you say something earlier. To get to the point that you just made, you said, "How do you know what you don't know?" And I heard you said that before. And for me, it's like, how do I know? How do I know what I don't know? And it's like you don't know until like you need it, or until it's time, to get to that point. But a lot of times, even for me, it's like that fear, right? Like I know I don't know something, but I know if I go out to get the information, like I'm gonna have to change myself to get that information first. Like my question for you guys is like, what point in you guys' life where you didn't know something and you knew you had to make an adjustment, and like how did you go through that to get to the information that you needed to know?
That's funny. I'll jump on this one first.
Go ahead.
So it's funny, he just witnessed this yesterday, and that's why it came right to me. So one of the things that I like reinventing myself. I've done so many things as an entrepreneur over the last 30 plus years. And about 2 years ago, I said that I want to teach myself how to trade, like on Forex. And so I picked up my phone, I put a couple $100 in there, lost every dime, all of it. Of course, I was sad about it.
Yeah.
Put another one there, lost it again. And so then I went to YouTube University and I just started watching the videos and learning. And so, I'll give you just a quick number just to give you a point, and then I'll tell you my reason for saying this. My best week in that first year was $68,000 in 1 week. Now, mind you, I lost a whole bunch of money in the first couple of times trying to do this, right? And so I trade on my phone. I have 2 phones, and I would trade on both phones. And so it's so funny because the app that I used this past week, they just went away with it. Like out of nowhere, we're not using this anymore. No! 2
Money gone.
years of
Yeah,
learning this.
yeah.
So now I got a choice to make. Give up trading or innovate. In other words, the Marines, they adapt and overcome.
Thanks.
Where's the camera? Adapt and overcome. Now, I already consider myself to be blessed.
Yes.
So I could have just stopped. But Carlos will tell you, yesterday we were at the presentation. I said he saw my computer open, and then I was talking to EJ right there. He was right there. And as I'm having a conversation with EJ, I look at my computer and I saw these white lines go up. I said, EJ, 1 second. I ran over there, and Carlos comes by me. He's like, you must have made some money because I saw how you moved over there. I said, I sure did. But my point is, I started teaching myself how to trade on my computer now as opposed to the phone. So I had to learn new skills, even though I just spent all this time making all this money. But you got to constantly allow yourself to have the mindset of, it doesn't matter what shows up. I'm going to adapt and overcome.
Yo, good. Yeah,
So
I'll give you
that's
half
good
point for that.
sportsmanship
That's
right
good
there. That's good
sportsmanship.
sportsmanship right there, brother.
Yeah.
I'll say this, man, too. For me, so I was going to say police. Finish the story. So when I was in New York State Police in the academy for 6 months, 6 months. So people don't realize you were there for 6 months. I'm telling the story. Story gonna be quick, but I lived there for 6 months. Did I say 6 months?
Yeah, yeah.
Stay on the right side of the hallway. Yes, sir. No, sir. You can't talk. Put that in your right hand. 6 months. 2 weeks out of that training was driving training. So we're in a classroom for about a day. The rest of the 2 weeks, we just out driving. Just driving. This one trooper in particular, man, makes over 6 figures. All he gets paid to do is teach people how to drive. I said, man, where you get this guy? Like they give him cars, he wrecked the cars. He was driving cars backwards through trials faster than we could drive them forward. Yo, first day I get into class. All right, I'm gonna ask y'all. When you was driving your car, how many heard, watch out for the blind side? Anybody ever heard that when you start driving your car?
Blind spot.
That blind spot might get you. Watch out for that blind spot. First thing he says in the class is, there is no blind spot. I said, bruh, they paying you how much money to do this? So there is no blind spot. He said, the problem with most people is we've been taught improper mirror placement. If you place your mirrors the right way, the car, as soon as it leaves the mirror here, it appears in the mirror here. Wow. And I changed my mirrors, and it's true. You want to know the most difficult thing? Is driving with your mirrors in a different placement. You want to put them back.
Yep.
Because it's like, this don't feel right. This feel uncomfortable. What am I saying? When you don't know what you don't know, you got to have somebody who knows what you don't know to tell you what you don't know. The problem is when they tell you what you don't know and you don't know it, you want to reject it because it's something that you don't know and it goes against what you do know. Wow. So when somebody comes and tells you, you have to be able to receive this information, understanding they know something that I don't know.
That's right.
And when they tell me this, it's probably going to be uncomfortable because I'm used to doing everything the way that I know how to do it. Changed my mirrors, and once I kept doing it like that, I found out there was no blind side. In my life, long story to a short question, D's, I need people outside of me who can tell me something I don't know, and then I need to trust them beyond what I'm comfortable with.
Do you mind if I ask him a follow-up question?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you eventually then get comfortable being uncomfortable?
I got comfortable being uncomfortable, and it took a while, and I had to stay in the discomfort in order to get comfortable in it. Does that make sense?
It makes a world of sense. It's funny I asked you that because that's one of the number one things most successful people always point to is that they got comfortable being uncomfortable. And most people who are unsuccessful are comfortable being comfortable. Isn't that interesting?
Interesting.
I give y'all a half a point because he helped y'all out a little bit. You know what I mean? That was good though.
I threw him an alley-oop,
Yeah, you threw him a little alley-oop. Yeah.
So for me, right, it's only like three of us that started at the top, like me, Michael Jordan, Mike Tyson, just three of us.
Just
three of y'all?
Just us three.
Okay.
So for those who didn't get that luxury, right?
Right.
They're looking for people to have that coach, to have that leadership. So to help find what you don't know. So
Yes.
how do they place themselves? How do we place ourselves in an area to where we can receive that type of information? To help to guide us, that leadership, how do we find correct leadership? Or a better question, what is good leadership? We can start there.
What is good leadership? What a question.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gotta kill this one
I
now.
got one.
Do I get a point for like that?
Yeah. You get a question point. You get a question point. Yeah.
Good sportsmanship, baby. Good sportsmanship, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Can I say this?
Nah, I'm good.
Oh, wow. He fouled my man, didn't do it. He stuck
Hey,
his hand down and helped
bad
him up.
sportsmanship. Can I be real?
Cannot be real.
Can I be real?
Cannot be real. I'll say this, and we've talked about this before. Managers try to get people to do things they don't want to do. Leaders can get people to do things they never believed that they can do.
Exactly.
Hold on, yeah. Say that one more time.
Managers try to get people to do things that they don't want to do.
Right.
Leaders get people to do things that they never even believed that they
That's
could do.
right.
So when a leader can give you something and get something out of you that you might not have been able to get out of yourself, that's a good leader.
Right.
We talked about the Michael Jordans, all the people that you sitting next to.
Yeah,
You know what
I'm with it.
Yeah, Mike
So
Tyson's the people, your people. All them people. It's interesting that anybody in there, I can go around this room and ask you who's the best athlete of all time, sports team of all time. I don't care who you name.
Right.
Everybody had a coach.
That's right.
Everybody had a coach. That means somebody who was the greatest at whatever they ever done, they had somebody outside their greatness calling out things that were not great.
That's right.
To cause them to become even more
That's right.
greater. So from number one for me is a coach, a leader, finding somebody, a good one, like you said, is somebody that can see something in you and still pull it out. You said you play ball. I play football. Then I'm passing the rock to my man. Oh, I remember being pound for pound the strongest player on the team. 1.3% body fat. My trainer was like, "You need to eat a cheeseburger." I was like, he's like, "No, I'm for real." He's like, once the body starts losing too much fat, the body starts to eat muscles. Pound for pound strongest player. I'm in shape, so at the end of practice, I can outrun anybody. At the end of practice, I'm beating everybody. So I have nobody to compete with.
Right.
I wish I had time to chase that. The hardest person to compete with is with yourself when you have nobody else to compete with. So I'm finishing the suicides at the end, in the front, D. And my coach says, "Beep, we doing it again." Spence wasn't running. I said, running. I said, "Fuck, I just beat everybody. What you mean he wasn't running?" He knew I wasn't going to my best of my ability. Just because I beat everybody else doesn't mean that I was doing the best that I could.
That's right.
So much respect for that coach, because that leader saw me and saw just because you're doing better than everybody else don't mean you're doing the best that you can do.
Right.
To me, a leader also will not let you get comfortable.
That's right.
It's going to pull something out of you, even when you feel like you're doing better than everybody else.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And right along those same lines, so I have a friend of mine who plays golf. I used to think golf was the worst, most boring sport on the planet until I played it. It's an
I just got
amazing.
to. I'm 6 months in, so I'm
So you understand,
Yeah,
right?
let's
I'm telling you,
talk.
golf is amazing. And so I got this friend of mine. He will not do business with another person until he plays golf with them. Watch this. I said, why? He said, because golf is the only game, number one, where you're playing against yourself, not necessarily the other person. Number two, though, he said, because it's the only game where you get to see a person's integrity. So if a guy hits the ball and it's off the green in the woods or on the grass somewhere, he's watching to see how he handles that. The guy doesn't know he's watching him. So they've got $1 million deal on the table, but they're not playing for the deal. The guy thinks he's just having a fun game. So he said he'll watch and see how that guy handles that foul ball. Does he cheat and try to kick it out onto the green when he thinks no one's looking? But he's paying attention to everything. Even though he's got his back turned, he's looking at him through his peripheral. He said if he kicked that ball out onto the green and now he goes and acts like that's where the ball was, he said, man, if you're going to cheat in a game where there's nothing on the line, who are you going to be when everything is on the line? So when you talk about good leadership, I think it starts with how good are you leading yourself? Because that's what Los is really talking about when he said coach called him out, because he wasn't leading himself to his best. Wow. And so for me, I think good leadership starts with how good are you leading yourself? Because if you're doing a great job at leading yourself, when you go to present yourself to or ask somebody who is better than you to now lead you, that's the first thing they see. This kid's got potential. It's the same way that my friend saw, I'm going to do business with this person because he's got integrity. When it didn't count, he's going to have integrity when it does count.
That's good.
That's deep. That's
So
deep.
with potential being like, I believe everybody has potential. Everybody has the ability to take themselves to the next level. So, I mean, we've all heard the saying, every dog has its day.
Yeah.
So everybody comes to a point to where they reach a certain level, and it's good, successful, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Then we all come to a point to where you hit that first obstacle, that first thing that knocks you off course.
Yeah.
Going to the moon, get that first thing, that first wall.
Yeah.
How do you go around that?
Great question.
How do you?
Oh.
I'm pretty sure both of y'all entrepreneurs, y'all done both ran to those.
Oh man, all the time.
And before y'all answer, if y'all can even give an example of that obstacle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a
Yeah.
quick story for y'all. Tons of stories. I love telling stories.
why
Everybody's
we
heard
win.
of Tony Robbins.
Yes.
Right. And what about Dale Earnhardt? Y'all heard him,
Yes.
right? He's the Michael Jordan, him and his father of NASCAR. Yeah. And so Tony always wanted to drive a real NASCAR around a real NASCAR track. So when he became multimillionaire, he went and he hired Dale Earnhardt to take him on the track. So Dale's on the passenger seat, Tony's in the driver's seat. They go around the track a few times, and you guys know these cars go up to 200 plus miles an hour. So there's something called drag when you're going around the track that fast. So if the track, you got to keep taking lefts to go around, which way is the drag? It's pulling you to the right. So he's coming around the track doing over 200 miles an hour. He's taking a left. The drag is pulling the car which way? To the right. What's to the right?
The wall.
Wall. The obstacle. What does Tony do? He starts looking at the wall. Where does the car go? Towards the wall. You know what Dale did? He doesn't say anything to Tony. He reached over, and Tony's got he's got a lot of, got a cranium. So he reached over, and he grabbed the cranium, and he just yanks his head facing the track. Which way does the car go?
To the
Back on
track.
track. And so that would be my answer. Whatever you focus on, whatever you're looking at, is where you're gonna go. And it counts the most when you've got that negative drag coming at you. One last story on this, and I'm done with it. I love eagles and lions. They're beautiful creatures. Do you know that an eagle has one of the largest wingspans in the animal kingdom for birds? And an eagle, even though it's got the largest wingspan, it can only achieve a certain altitude based on its wingspan. It can't go any higher than a certain point. Do y'all know what is that thing called on a plane? Turbulence. Turbulence, another word for it is negative resistance. So that means you're going forward and the wind is hitting you, trying to push you in the other direction. Do you know what happens to an eagle's wings when it hits turbulence? It gives its wings uplift. In other words, the eagle can now fly higher than it could on its own when it hits negative resistance because its wings are designed to allow the air to flow over it in such a way where it gives it uplift and it can fly higher when it hits negative resistance. You know who else is designed that way? Humans. You know what our problem is? We've got the gift of choice. So when we hit negative resistance, we allow the resistance to cause us to go down rather than to cause us to go up the way that we were designed because we've got the dignity of choice. But now that you know that you can choose to allow it to give you uplift, that's what it will do. You still don't believe me? Look at every successful person there is out there. They've got some sob story, some sad thing that happened, some disaster they had to overcome, and that's what allowed them to have the uplift in their life, to get to where they are. So it's all about understanding these things. But if we don't make these discoveries, if you don't listen to podcasts like
Can I Be Real?
Can I Be Real?
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
listen to him.
Yeah.
You will listen to him? You will listen to yourself or this guy?
Probably both of them.
Oh, okay.
Look, you need a little both. We need a little both. That's my bro, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. I don't care. I apologize. My bad. I don't care. I'm sorry.
I'll say this too. Les Brown said, success is moving from failure to failure and not losing enthusiasm.
That's right.
Right, so success is knowing that you're gonna move from one failure to another failure and not losing enthusiasm. You asked for a real life example, and I'll give you this one. There's a scripture, and I bring it up. Principle, it's a law. It says, "Woe to him who's alone, because when he falls, he has nobody to pick him back up." He said, "But if you fall in the multitude of counsel,
Yes.
they have somebody to pick him back
back
up."
up.
So the beautiful thing about that scripture is that, "Woe to him who falls, because he has somebody to catch him." He said, "But he's who's in wise counsel, that's a good thing for him." What that scripture is really saying is both men fall.
Yes.
It never said the person in wise counsel doesn't fall. It just says you have somebody to catch you. Somebody who falls, but nobody around them falls. Somebody who falls with somebody around them has somebody to catch them.
Right.
For me, real life, I think I spoke about it a little bit today. I lost my cousin, man, and that's like my brother. We grew up, our 9 of us grandchildren, we grew up like brothers. My children call them aunt, uncle. Their children call me aunt, uncle. That's how close we were, right? So when I lost him, my brother, and I was living in Georgia, and my best friend for over 30-something years, both said, "Bro, just come move back to Buffalo. Like, just come move back and regather yourself. Like get yourself back together, then go do what you got to do." I was falling. Bro. And had I stayed there by myself, I wouldn't have been able to pick myself back up. I needed to be around people who could pick me back up. And like my brother O always says, give me some. I'll give you this one. I need to be around people who reminded my wings how to fly.
That's right, baby.
O says that all the time, bro. I'm just, you already got wings. Let me remind your wings how to fly.
That's right.
I needed to be around people who could see me in my fallen state, but still knew that I was not my fallen state.
That's right.
So when I didn't feel like I was who I was supposed to be, they could still speak into me. You got to be around. T.D. Jakes said the person left to himself will either implode or explode. You got to be around somebody else, man. You're going to lose it outwardly or you're going to lose it inwardly.
Yeah.
I think that was, for me, being an entrepreneur, I think that was one of my biggest issues at first. I was before I started really taking myself serious as far as being an entrepreneur, I was super introverted. My whole thing is I never had trust issues. I trust everybody to be who they show me to be. So if I feel like you don't do good business, then I trust that, and I move that way. So I would carry myself in that type of atmosphere. I wouldn't really talk to nobody. I wouldn't open up. I held everything in. So if I fall, hey, at least I fell on my own. It wasn't because of anybody else.
Right.
And so I moved that way for the longest. And it was like detriment. And so I was talking to my brother. I was like, man, look, I don't know how we're gonna make it work, but we need to get together. We just need to create this podcast, bro. We need to just really build on each other. And so ever since we started it, every idea that we were holding on to, we started like, hey man, we need to get this done. Or we're gonna start with this. Or we gonna start. So now it's like we getting back to that groove, like, oh yeah, this is what we needed. We still pick each other up. So it kind of goes to that whole saying, your net worth is your network.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
right.
I give you some now. But you know, to his point too, you know, because we always talk about that, like when you by yourself and you in those lowest moments, and it's like, yeah, you can call me and like, hey, bro, how you doing? You check, but I'm like, I'm good, but I'm really not good, right? And I think a lot of times we get to those points because, and in my opinion, because I've been disappointed by people in the past, and we let those disappointments of people not want to be a relationship with new people, right? Until we get to the point where now I need someone, so I have to step out my comfort zone, and I have to do things differently. But I got a question for you guys, because you talk about those dark moments. In life, I know we all have those dark moments, and they be like pivotal moments in our lives where it's like you got to do something now, or we're gonna go down the dark road, right? If y'all can give us an example of like what was like that darkest point in your life, on your leadership journey or your personal life, and how was you able to overcome that? Like, and I know a lot of times, because I asked this question before, and people give me, you know, generic answers. Oh, I prayed and I read books, and I want the can I be real? Like how do you get how did you flip that switch? Like, can I be real? Like, how did you flip that switch?
Man, all right, let me think.
Somebody ain't been ready for this.
I guess the one, I don't know, I got to pick up from a few. I had a few of them. I'm 47, man. I've been through a few in my life.
You don't look 47, man.
Thank you, my brother. You know,
About 32, man.
that's
You know
about
what
the
I'm
berries
saying?
and juices.
Yeah.
From the motherland, where I'm from.
Wakanda.
Yes, oh man, I'm just gonna go for this one. And Eric probably knows what I'm about to talk about too. But
Loaded question.
yes, it is.
Question
Yes, it
right
is.
there.
Yes, it is. Is it? Are we good? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, one of the we gotta fix that first. Okay.
You good. You keep going.
You good?
He
Yeah.
about to drop some heavy duty.
Okay.
You good. You keep going.
I'm good?
Yep.
So one of the most recent thing that just happened to me, because I've been through a bunch of things in my life. When my dad left, that was a big deal. But the one that's most recent, because as soon as you said it, popped in and it showed up twice. I said, you know what? I'm gonna go with that one. I was married for about 10 years, and my now ex-wife, she did me really dirty. And I'm not here to speak ill of her, because I've forgiven, I've shared, I've let all that go. But I mean, it was ugly. And the thing that was the toughest for me, because she went on social media and started putting all this negative energy and information out. And let me tell you, I saw it, and all the personal development, all of that went out the window. I mean, I wanted to go grab a Uzi and just shoot everybody. No, just be honest. I mean, you said,
Can I be real?
right?
Yeah.
You know, so this isn't fluff. This isn't fluff. I wanted to take everything out. And I went, as soon as I saw some of the posts, and some of my friends sent it to me like, man, what is she talking about? So I went on and I typed up everything to respond back to almost every single line, word for word, man. Because this was all stories. But I'm sitting on facts, and I've got tapes and all types of evidence.
The receipts.
I meant receipts. It's like, okay, I'll say this and I'll put this receipt so you can't deny anything, right? And as soon as I finished typing it and I'm about to hit post, because I don't post all the time. So I knew if I put this out there from a guy who doesn't post, it's going to get a lot of attention. I don't know what came over me other than God. I'm about to hit post, and I stopped. And I called this man right here. He knows it. And he's like, huh. I said, tell me something. I don't even remember exactly what I said, but let me just use the words now. Tell me something to stop me from doing this. And he said, let me tell you a story. Sound familiar? By the way, this is also, pause, why it's important to have
Yes.
friends around you, people around you that you can keep it real with.
Yeah.
He said, man, you ever heard of Tyler Perry? This, I'm gonna tell me if I mess the story up. You ever heard of Tyler Perry? Come on, man, of course I know Tyler Perry. Steve Harvey? Of course. You know they're friends? No, I didn't know that. He's like, man, Steve's first wife did something similar. And Steve said, oh, you wanna talk crap in public? Oh, I got the biggest mic in the building. Steve's got a syndicated show. So if you want to start telling stories, I can tell stories. And so Tyler got on the phone with him before he went to do any of this stuff. And Tyler said, hey, let me tell you a story. And he said, you ever heard of the wolf hollering at the moon? He said, yeah, man. What? And Steve's like, what? Man, I'm calling you to help me with this. You talking about the wolf and the moon. What is this? And he said, yeah, man. He said, it's a normal occurrence. So when the wolf hollers at the moon, nobody's stirred or shaken. It's just what is. He said, but the moment that the moon hollers back, the world stops. He said, in your story, guess who the moon is?
Yep.
Billy. Am I telling the truth?
Yeah.
And he talked me off the ledge.
That's what's up.
And till this day, I haven't said a word. What the young kids say, clap back. I didn't do any of that. None of it. And let me tell you, even 6 months later, it was still tough. Because I thought about it again. I'm like, man, I can remember the stuff I wrote. I can rewrite it. But then I remember stuff, and they say, hey, when they go low, you go high. Sure, I lost some friends. No, I lost some fans.
That's a good way to put it.
I was about to say I lost some friends, but I lost some fans. But my friends didn't allow me to lose myself.
Hey,
That's what I could put.
man, that was good, man. For real. That was good, man. For real.
Real.
I think that was
We don't respond to
that-
we just hit him with the Shador.
yeah.
Chill. Man, me, I guess, my mind went here. I haven't told this story in a while. I don't even know. I think I've shared this for you all. One of the lowest moments for me, and I'm gonna go a different angle because I'm gonna go the angle of finding something that you can do for yourself. Like you got to find something to be busy, something to release. You got to find a proper release, right? Avenue. For me, one, I've always said the gym has always been there for me. Like it is for a lot of fellas, not all, but some people are like, yo, why you work out? I work out, and listen, man, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I just got a little swollen over
People
here.
like, you know, like the suit.
We be like, I'm not closed. You know what I'm saying?
But you gotta find some way to properly release. And for me, my brother came pick me up. I was playing football at the University of Buffalo. My oldest brother came, just showed up at the campus. So the campus is about 45 minutes away, but I stayed on campus. I'm like, dude, why are you showing up? You know, I'm like, dorm, like, picking me up. Dude, like, get in the car. I'm like, oh, shoot. Get in the car, we drive about 10 minutes. And he's like, man, my brother got cancer. This is the brother in between both of us. Same mom, same dad. It's my brother, man. I'm like, what the heck, bro? How is this going? What are we going? You know, cancer. You get that scared, man. Stuff start flowing through your mind. What's going to happen? And for me, I was playing football. That's why I asked for a proper release. And by me playing football, I had something to release that energy in, right? I don't know how to make it through if I was doing something else or being by myself. So when I talk to people all the time, it's like, yo, what's your hobby? You go skating? Do you go to the gun range? Do you go to the weight room? Do you go shopping? You got to do something. Because for me, if I heard that information and had no proper outlet, I would have lost myself. Mike Tyson said, everybody got a plan until you get hit in the face.
For
You know what I'm saying? Everybody got a
For
plan.
sure.
And that thing, life has a way of hitting you in the face when you least expect it.
Oh, man.
There was no way I
Facts.
would ever believe I would have got that news. Thank God my brother is good to this day, but getting that news almost crushed me, but I just lost myself in football, which was just a good, healthy release for me.
Yeah, that's deep, man.
Yeah.
All right.
So with that and overcoming it, how do you stay motivated from moving forward after taking a loss like that? Because I think that is a hard thing, like you said, like taking them hits. It's like it's cool for that. Anybody can get motivated to run through a wall after that. After the whole, you talk to somebody. It's like, okay, yeah, I can do it. I can do it. You pick up the phone, you like.
Hey,
Now
let-
I gotta do it.
Now
Yeah,
I
it's
gotta
not
do
just
it.
talk no more. Now I gotta actually do the day-to-day work,
Right.
the process, moving forward. When there ain't nobody on their phone telling you, "Hey, man, let's do this."
Right.
And you have to only deal with yourself when it's you versus you.
Right. Right.
How do you stay internally motivated? And I don't like we don't like motivation. Impact. How do you stay impacted until moving forward after taking whatever type of law, whatever type of wall we hit, whatever type of obstacle?
I got something. You good?
Go for it.
All right, so I'll tell you this one quick, man. The first thing comes to mind is the best way to do it, and it's gonna almost sound contradictory. You have to prepare yourself before it comes.
Exactly.
Like you got to be prepared before that moment comes. That moment's gonna come. You gonna get hit in the face. You can't prepare for that moment in that moment. I told you I work for New York State Police, so I'm way up north, like way up north. People in New York City call Buffalo upstate. It's west. All right, it ain't upstate like that. Upstate is upstate. So I'm working way upstate, and you got no cell phone service. So since you have no cell phone service, you can't pull up your Google Maps. You can't pull up your map. You can't. I ain't gonna pull the room. See how many of y'all can't even get home today if you don't put it. If you don't put your phone, if you don't put the address in your phone in your own city.
Yeah.
I'm in a city that I've never been in,
Yeah.
and I'm in a city as a police officer. I'm getting emergency calls. I can't be late to an emergency call. People are calling. A true story. I'm going on one call. They call me weird. I'm driving down this way. Four cars go this way. I guess we're going that way. I showed up on the scene. I was like, we good? We good? We good? Y'all got this? Y'all got this? All right. I'll be in the car. Y'all let me know if y'all need some help. So one trooper brought me aside because you ain't had no cell phone service, and he brought out the old school map. Like some people have no idea what that thing even looks like.
Yeah. Right.
He said, Carlos, when you're off duty, drive through the city and highlight the streets. I said, really? He said, start to get familiar with the different streets. Start to familiarize yourself with the towns, with the mile markers. Start to familiarize yourself with the names, with the street lights, with the houses, with what they look like. He said, familiarize yourself when there's no emergency. So when there is an emergency, you don't have to prepare for the emergency in the midst of the emergency. So you got to prepare yourself by filling yourself with books, being around good people, going to conferences, because that thing will show up and punch you in the face. And the worst time is to try to find an answer in the midst of the crisis when you need the answer. I have found myself filling myself with a bunch of stuff. So when I'm on that, bro, I felt it when you said you hang up the phone, be like,
Man.
I got to do this now. And I found myself doing something. The other way going to it, now I'm done, is building that muscle memory. I go to the gym. I don't feel like going to the gym. Nobody likes this. Oh, somebody's lying to you. I love it. No. Me and my boy work out 5:30 in the morning every day. We go to the gym like, I hate this. I wake up in the morning, 4:30, my eyes open up like, I'm not doing this today. I said it again, I'm not doing this today. By the third time I say I'm not doing this today, I'm in the weight room already.
Yeah. My
Muscle
kinda guy,
memory.
my kinda guy.
Bruh, I'm already
My kinda
like, by the third time, I'm telling myself, but I'm already there now. I've built up a muscle memory that goes beyond what I feel in any emergency.
That's right.
Yeah, bro.
That's
Yeah.
right. That was actually what I was going to talk about. Really,
Yeah.
it's just habitualizing it. Because see, the thing is, when you first start something, you have it, but the more you do it, it has you. It's habitualizing it, right? Because a habit is something that you don't have to continue to work at if you work at it long enough. And so I've worked long enough at holding myself accountable to me. You see, let me tell you something that I realized not too long ago, and then I started studying it, and it actually is true. Do you know why? Because all of us study with confidence issues. All of us have confidence issues in certain things or in certain aspects or certain points of our life. I know the most confident person, and they're not confident at something. So, do you know that the number one thing that robs you of your confidence is the fact that you are aware of all the lies that you've ever told?
Wow.
Go study it. It's true. So I could lie to you and you believe me, but I know I'm lying. And then I tell him the same lie and he believes me. I knew again that I lied. And so if you want to start to increase your confidence, stop lying to yourself. And so that was the first place for me where I started gaining my real superpower against how do I deal with that when I hang up that phone like, dang, I got to do this now. So I gave you an example earlier. My brother talked me off the ledge, right? So I get off the phone and he knows I'm not going to lie to him. We don't lie to each other. If anything, we just won't talk about it. Like seriously. No, I'm telling you. Like
For real.
that's how we operate. Like, we just because seriously.
Yeah, don't bring it up. Yeah.
Just don't ask me.
Why you didn't say nothing?
Yeah,
You didn't bring it up. You didn't bring it up. You didn't bring it up.
So it's to hold my integrity with myself. So that's the best way that I've found to be able to handle those moments. I'm habitualized just being honest with me. You know, so that's the best answer I've got with that.
Can I say this when you said that, man? It's true. One thought I've always said that most people are afraid to say who they are.
Yeah.
Because if you see them, either they have to become what they said, or they have to give you an excuse as to why they are not what they've been saying.
Yep.
So a lot of people will lie to themselves, or they just won't say it.
Right.
Because if you see me, I gotta be what I'm saying.
Right.
Or I gotta give you an excuse why I'm not what I've been saying.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, man. That inner confidence, man,
like
gets
that.
robbed of that.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Man, hey.
hey, I gave you good information, man.
Jeez.
We did pretty good.
We did pretty good.
I think it's not just raw. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? So far.
it's pretty even. 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 But man, hey, this has been good. Yes.
Yeah, man, for sure. Flip the switch, man. So what I'll say is this. I was in a class and I was learning about electricity. And the beautiful thing, this room we in right now, let's say the electricity gets turned off. That means the current is broken.
Right.
Right? That's what actually happens when you turn the switch off. The thing is, electricity don't leave the room. The electricity is still present. It just needs something to activate what's already there. So when I heard that information, I was like, yo, I gotta write this book. I gotta get out of this class. I can't even stay in here no more. I keep saying to myself. Because so many people are looking for something external, not understanding that they're just like the room. The light is turned off, but electricity is still in the room. All you need to do is actually flip the switch to activate what's actually already present.
Right.
That's the premise of the book. A couple different chapters in it, man, talking about that. I've actually just wrote one, Flip the Switch Student Success. So I'm actually, school districts and stuff are buying that one as well, man. But that's the premise of it, man. I like to stay around people who if I can't flip the switch, they can. Right? It's there. Right? Either I'm gonna turn it on or somebody else gonna turn it on. But you gotta be around the right people because when you don't feel like turning it on, somebody gotta turn it on.
right.
But it's there.
That's right.
It's there. Appreciate that.
If I can encourage people too to read the book, and I'll say it this way too, I feel like today, in today's day and age, we've got access to so much information. I think a lot of people have gone from being entrepreneurs to being infopreneurs, and so. But here's the challenge with that though. We weren't designed to have that much access. Like if you got to think about this for a second, how did we get so much access to information? It's technology, the phones, the internet, all of that.
Social media.
Exactly, social media, all of it. But we weren't designed to have that. It's a thing, a choice that we've made as a race, a humanity, to bring that into our reality. Where am I going with this? Well, the way that we were designed was to have access to local information or specific information. But now we've got access to so much general information that I think is causing a lot more harm than good. So if somebody like the bomb went off in Israel or they started to fight, something happened, man, people across the continent knew about it seconds after it happened. And you had some people that were in Israel don't even know what happened yet. So in today's day and age, I always recommend to people, look, get specific knowledge versus being a wandering generality. Where you've got all this information, you know who's doing what to who and who's sleeping with who and all of this stuff, but yet you still don't know how to make some money. Yet you still don't know how to flip the switch in your marriage, you flip the switch in your life, flip the switch with your kids. So I highly encourage people, get the book because it gives you specific knowledge on that which you desire versus being a wandering generality.
But assist though.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, nice little assist. Yeah.
So we got time for like Q&A questions or
I literally said that to her.
that's all we
Yeah.
You did that.
I'll see how you did that. Q&A from the audience. Come on, 30. We're past our time. We said when people see the vendors, I know people want to buy books here. So 30 minutes or so we do Q&A. We're gonna close the event up.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Now, ask your question. This will always happen.
Yeah.
People don't ask.
Uh-huh.
Nobody asks. Then people start asking, and then you don't get your question answered.
Exactly.
That's what happened every time. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'm the camera lady.
Yes, yes.
What about relationships? Being an entrepreneur and you and your partner are trying to balance like that and business together and
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
And kids.
Yeah. So are you saying it in terms of you're looking to find someone or you're already with someone?
No, I'm with
not-
someone,
Okay.
and we both have like our businesses that we're trying to like, do and also be relationship stuff, and then the kids. Like I know you were talking with you the circle and everything.
Yeah.
Circle. Sorry. Wrong
It's okay.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, just balancing, like being able to like stay motivated within each other. I feel like he's where I would get my motivation, vice versa. But sometimes we kind of just get into that low point, the both of us, and it gets hard to come out of that. I guess is what I was asking.
And so it's more so how do you get that balance so that you can still enjoy each other, even though you're basically doing everything together. Is that am I kind of getting that? I think you just honestly, it goes back to that circle thing again. I know for me, I used to always wonder when I was a kid. I'm like, man, how come these movie stars are dating other movie stars, and the basketball players dating another basketball player? What is this? I didn't get it until I got old enough, and I understood it because they speak the same language. Like they get that part of each other's lives. But the best that I could share with you around that is you just got to know when to cut certain parts off. Like I have this thing now that I do at 5:00 at the end of the day, I don't touch the business phone. I will not do it because guess what? I used to be the guy that 5:30, 6:30, 8:30, 12 midnight, they still calling me and I'm taking the calls. So now I won't touch it. So I had to retrain myself first. And then I started retraining the people around me. So my friends or my business partners who would call that were used to me taking a call at 9 p.m. And so now what I would do is I would let it go to voicemail because I do have this secretary. I pay her about $263 a month, and she's called voicemail. And I realized she wasn't doing her job, right? Because I was doing her job, but I'm still paying her. So I let her start doing her job. And so come Monday morning, I go back to my secretary. Hey, what were the messages that I missed? And so now I respond to them on Monday morning, like, hey, brother, man, you hit me around 7:30 last Friday, man. I was off work, man. I was hanging out with the kids and the missus and all that. What's up, man? How can I help you? Man, what you mean you were hanging out? Man, we've been working together 5 years. You took my call a week before that at 10 p.m. I know, I did, man. I was being so unfair to myself and my family, but I decided I'm changing that. So moving forward, and he has no choice.
I got a follow-up question to that.
Yes, sir.
So, first, because she's over here going, I don't know if that's... Before she did that, I still had a follow-up question. So, we got to put that in perspective, because I know your story.
Yes, you do.
And I can relate, because I was that dude who's known you for years.
Yes,
like,
you were.
bro, how you get back to me 2-3 days later?
Yes, you used to rag on me too.
And
Yes.
look, let's put this in perspective, though, to that question.
Yes.
So that's the millionaire now. But is that the approach when you were broke? Is that the approach? So know what you know now.
Exactly.
You was on your grind.
Yes.
Is it still that same approach?
You know what's funny?
You can do that now. You done built the mansion. You got the Porsches, the BMWs, and all that. But what about broke Obi? Who's on the grind?
just draw one round.
You want to charge us for got the plug in there, you know?
I probably stopped answering what it was. I stopped answering my calls too early.
No, but that's a very, very fair question for you to ask, man. I think it's legit. And if you remember what I said, I trained them to call me at 9. You remember I said that part, right? Do you know when I trained them? It was when I was broke. So in other words, you're right. I trained those. I was taking their calls when I was broke, right? But you see, now here's my thing though. Hear me out. It doesn't mean that if I knew then what I now know that I would have still done that. In fact, if I knew then what I now know, I wouldn't have done that. Because remember, what I said to you before, it's about habitualizing the proper behavior. But you see, when you're hungry, the only behavior is, man, I gotta eat. If I don't take this call, we don't eat. So if I knew that then, I would have done that then, because I would have wanted to embrace this habit sooner, because there was a price I paid. Jim Rohn said all the time, he said, don't let your mouth overload your back. In other words, I wouldn't pay $200 for a loaf of bread. That's too much. It costs too much. So me knowing now, well, me knowing that, you know what I'm trying to say. You get that part. I always confuse me when I try to say that. But if I did have that, then I would have done it differently. Because guess what? If I already had my queen at that time, she's more important to me. Because it's like I learned last night with Coach Trey. I said to him, what's the purpose of having a relationship? And he said, it's to magnify every experience of life. I would want to 10x every experience of life. So if I knew that, hey, I'm habitualizing the wrong thing right now, and it's negative 10xing my life, why would I continue that behavior? So from an honest place, I only did that then out of ignorance. And now that I know better, if I would go back to my younger self, I would give me that advice in, hey, take your queen with you. Find a way to ask her. I might even throw that in there, baby. Listen, we said that we would only take the call if it was a 6 or higher. Baby, this one is an 8.5. Do you mind? And if she said no, I wouldn't do it.
And be good.
You understand? And be good with it, because I made an agreement. So that's the other thing I would do, is I would make some type of agreement because everything, if too much pressure busts pipes. So you got to release that pressure somehow. So for me to release that pressure in the relationship, I would ask her, hey, can we set this up in this way? I plan on being this way when the call comes. But if it's important, if it's a 6 or higher, can I do that? And if she said yes, because now we're in cahoots together as opposed to in opposition, it completes the circle.
Can I say this? And I'm done with it. This is an Obi saying. Yeah. This is an Obi saying. So I have a section in my phone that's notes that's called the Olosopher.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you got to be around people that you keep notes with. I'll say this point blank, and whoever asks your next question, and he know where I'm going once I started. He said, Los, most people live their lives trying to get to the top of the mountain, never realizing that everything's at the bottom.
It's true.
Most people live their entire lives trying to get to the top of the mountain, not realizing that everything's in that everything. I said what I'm gonna say, but I gotta do it. This man's fishing on his boat, right? Fishing on a small boat, fishing, small boat. Somebody come and say, yo, man, like you should get a bigger boat. He's like, why? He said, man, because if you get a bigger boat, you can catch more fish. He said, okay, and then what? He said, man, if you catch more fish, you can get a second boat. He said, and then what? He said, once you get a second boat, you can actually get somebody else to be on that boat and catch more fish. He said, and then what? He said, man, then you ain't got to fish. You can get somebody else to fish for you and catch the fish. He said, then what? He said, man, you can open up a fishing store. You got a fishing store and a whole fishing chain. He said, then what? He said, man, then you could be rich doing everything that you want to do. He said, I am doing what I want to do. I'm on my small boat, fishing. Why am I going to do all of that just to get right back to where I actually want to be? Most people live their entire life trying to get to the top of the mountain. Never realized everything at the bottom.
On the bottom.
Yeah.
My man. One more quick one for you, sis, because you sparked this. And this is a true story. Keep it real.
Can I be real?
There were these 10 Asian men who paid Bill Gates over $250,000 each to have lunch with him.
Yep.
This is a true story.
Yep.
Let me ask you all a question. What do you think they wanted to talk about? Can be. If I pay over $250,000 to eat lunch, that's not even including the cost of lunch. That's just a sit
He said how
with
to
you.
make money.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If I paid that, that means I already figured out money. So it couldn't be money. So what do you think?
Good guess, though.
That was a great guess. What do you think? Huh?
His idea.
You're in the right direction.
His understanding.
You guys are looking at the right direction, but you're not on base yet. I'll tell you real quick. They wanted to know, how do you raise your children? One of the most basic things that any parent would want to know. 10. You do the math. How much was that? $2.5 million. Just to find out, how do you raise your kids? So when you talk about You fight, get all the way to the top of the mountain, only to realize that the things that are of real substance, you already had it. You already had it. You ever seen a Brinks truck follow a hearse? Let me make that simple for you. Have you ever seen the truck that carries all the money following the casket that the person is laying in? You will never see that. In other words, you can't take the money with you. Money is an addition onto life. It is not life.
That's good.
I see all these people fight, struggle to get the almighty dollar. Get it? Only to realize that the things that were so valuable, they already had at no cost. So to answer your question, young lady, bring it full circle back to you, you and your partner have to understand the real value of life.
Yeah.
What is it that really matters? People that were on their deathbed, we talked about this yesterday. They asked them the same question. What would you do over in your life? Do you know not one person said I would spend more time at work, I would go make another million? None of them. The two things that were said the most were I would spend more time with my loved ones and I would care less about what people said about me. Time with your kids, loving another person, having the ability to be able to share your life with somebody. At the end of the day, when you die, these things are what life is really all about. Nobody's going to remember how many points Michael Jordan scored or LeBron scored. Man, the kids are going to remember, man, my daddy spent time with me. Man, my daddy taught me this. At the end of the day, that's what life is really about. So do your best with your mate to pair up in that way, that you both get that. At the end of the day, baby, I love you. You love me? Great question.
Yes.
Yes, Todd.
We actually asked all of our speakers this from the course of the week, and we were hoping to show this in the commercial, which we didn't get to. We had a lot of production stuff going on today. But I've asked the two of you, all of you, what does Elevate mean to you? And what are two things that have contributed to success in your life?
You know first, you got it.
I'll take the elevate. The elevate portion means to me is learning what you need on that level to get to the next level. There's a story, magazines. Some of y'all might be too young to know what magazines is. Tell them what the magazines are once you leave here. Back in my day, we played magazines. You had the entire, you blew the game. You blew the Nintendo cartridge before you stuck it in the video game. Q-tip. So you play these video games and you could get these cheat codes in the magazines. And once you got these cheat codes, you could skip levels. And so this guy played the game. He skipped this level. He beat level 7. Then he beat level 8, beat level 9, got to level 10, but he used a cheat code in level 7. He can't get past level 10. Like, what is going on with this level? And so this is what elevate means for me, learning what you need to learn on certain levels to get to another level. He called his boy, like, yo, I can't pass level 10, man. Like, what's up? He said, did you use the cheat code? He said, yeah. He said, you're supposed to beat level 7 to pick up something that you need to conquer level 10.
Isn't that interesting?
Problem with a lot of people is they think that this level is going to be used for the next level. Notice I said he beat level 7, then he beat level 8 and 9, got to 10 and couldn't beat level 10. Elevate to me means you need something on that level and you don't know what other level you're going to need it on. So when you have to elevate, you got to go through what you got to go through. You have to elevate. You cannot skip steps. Because if you skip steps, you're like, I'm good for the next step. Yeah, but what about the 15th step? When you elevate, you have to learn what's necessary on that level, even though you don't see it being necessary for the next level. I need this for a future level. And I can't tell you how many things that I've learned and used that I learned levels for this that I never knew I was going to need for this level,
That other level.
on this one.
Yeah. So I'll take the second question since he answered the first. You said two? Two things. This was one. Where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. Let me repeat that. And I'll say it slower. Where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. And I'll answer the second question by explaining with an explanation of that first one. One of the things that I started putting in perspective was pain. You see, I told you my dad left when I was 11. That was painful. I went through a bunch of experiences. One of my brothers, God rest his soul, he passed away at the age of 27. That was painful. I'm the one who had to go return the car and clean his apartment out, and that was very painful. I told you what happened with my ex, and that was painful. And so I started realizing that I needed to change my relationship with pain. When I started putting pain in its proper perspective, I started understanding its purpose. And so for me, without pain, this is how I look at it now. Without pain, I wouldn't know what to fix. See, the squeaky wheel is the one you apply the grease to, but if it didn't squeak, where would you put the grease? So for me, if I would say there's two things that's changed my life in that way, it's understanding that I gotta know the purpose of a thing in order for me not to abuse it. And I changed my relationship with pain.
That was deep, by the way. That was good.
Yeah, it's true.
The question for y'all is, how do you ground yourself or reground yourself in purpose when you've spent either an extended period or even your whole life in survival mode? Wow. Wow.
How do you reground yourself with purpose?
Yeah, ground yourself or reground, depending on where you at in that journey.
I think the thing you got to start with, you mind if I jump in? I think the place that I would start with, if that was me, your purpose is your purpose no matter when you decide to get to it. That never changes. And I think I would start there with that understanding, because I think sometimes we get so caught up on being hard on ourselves. You know, man, I done wasted this many da. It's just like Tony when he was looking at the wall. The drag is there, but is that what you want to focus on? So I would start there and again, putting it in perspective, because if you don't get the purpose, you're abusing you now. So I would start with just that level of understanding and that, hey man, I can hit start at any time. Today is the next best time to start. So that'll be the first thing. I'll say the second thing is, man, forgive yourself. I think too many of us, man, guys, I mean, I see people talk about, so many things we could do for others and so on, and that's great. I'm not against any of that. I love the fact that humanity can do more together than individually. And sure, you should bless other people, but before you can bless, you have to first allow yourself to be blessed. Because you can't give anybody something you ain't got. If I don't have $1, how can I give you $0.25? So number one, understand the next best time to start is today. And number two, forgive yourself. Because once you allow yourself to be free in that way, man, you will be amazed at how much time you still have. Well, I was talking to somebody the other day. When did what's his face start KFC?
He's like
Colonel
65.
Sanders. He was 65. I was driving the other day. There's a KFC. The man is gone. His company's still here, but he didn't start till he was 65. I know some 40-year-olds are beating themselves up for not starting that business at 25. This man started what, 25 years after that? I can't do my math, but you get the point. So allow yourself that space, that freedom, man. I think it's the best place to start. Rest of it you'll figure out. But if you start from there, you'll be okay.
I'll say this too, because that's a real thing. I'm gonna acknowledge that, like being in survival mode.
Yeah.
Like, that's a real thing, and it's hard to see purpose, see things outside of survival mode. What's the basic needs of a person?
Yeah.
Like you have some
Food,
basic
shelter.
needs, food, shelter. Like you got some, that's survival mode. Like I gotta survive. But to answer that, I will say, and my uncle says this, I'm not gonna give you some medicine that I don't take myself, right? Study to live, I preach out of my life. So awareness is what I learned to do in spaces of survival mode to get in touch with my purpose. And awareness is me focusing on what I do have instead of focusing on what I don't have.
Right.
You may have your belief, now muffle yours and mess up yours, but you'll hear this. The story of the garden is Adam and Eve focused on what they didn't have and didn't focus on everything they did have. Yeah. You focus on one tree that you can't have, and you miss all the trees that you can have. So in that survival mode, when I say awareness, bro, I wake up and You know how people wish they could do that?
Mm.
You know how people wish they could do that?
Or even wake up.
You know how people wish they could do that? I see my children, if you have children. I strive, I push, I'm up at 4:30 in the morning, I train 4 days a week, I train other people on Thursday and Friday, I don't eat meat, I cut stuff out, I do all this stuff. I believe in doing things and driving to exceed in my life. But I look at my children and say, my children are healthy, man. If I don't get nothing else, I'm good.
Right. Right.
I got 5 children, they're all healthy. My children have never had surgery. My children don't even wear glasses, none of them even have allergies.
Right.
Now, those who might have some stuff, I pray for you. You know, don't think. But hear what I'm saying. The essence of what I'm saying is, people would pay for that if they could.
Yes.
I'm aware that if nothing else gets better, I'm good.
Gratitude.
I'm good, bro. I'm good. I love that. Me and my brothers talk every day. I'm good. It took us to lose our cousin to stay in conversation with each other every day. Went to Georgia, spent the night at my brother's house. My mom was there. Took my mom out to eat. Took my nephew with me. You know what I'm saying? We went to the bounce house. We jumped with my boy, him and his sons. When you start doing that to yourself, you felt good off the stuff I was just saying.
Right.
When you start getting that awareness, even though you may still be in survival mode, you can take yourself out of survival mode because you're experiencing what's actually good.
Right.
And once you experience what's actually good, you'll start having other good things show up. I ground myself. I love the words you use. I literally go outside, take my shoes and socks off, and walk in the grass. Sometimes I lay back in the grass. Bruh, it'll change your life.
To be grateful.
I take my phone away, don't let nothing electrical touch me. Just take my shoes off, take my socks off, and I walk in the grass and ground myself. And just notice how beautiful life really is and pay attention to all the things that I do have and not focus on the stuff that I don't.
That's fabulous. Yeah. That's good stuff, man. Yeah. It's beautiful.
I'm more. It'll be time for networking. We can talk to OB Carlos afterwards, but I want to make sure we see our vendors and we can get on time. So we have time for one more question.
Okay, I have a question. Like, y'all already answered it, but a while ago when you said when you fall, if you don't have anyone, I just don't know how to come back from that. Right? If I'm the person that catches everyone when they fall, I never usually expect anyone to be there to catch me, so I feel like that's the hardest part for me. I don't even self-help, but I love helping everybody, so it's crazy, I guess. Never having it for myself is what makes me want to give it to everyone else. But now I don't know how to get back to healing me. So that's why I just call myself like a healing hypocrite. Because I'm out trying to heal everybody or speak all these great things to everybody, and then when it's time for me, I don't even know how to accept it because all I ever had was negative talk or things of that nature. So I just bounce back from it by acting like, just put it behind you and go. I never really deal with it, I guess, for myself. It's easier for you to give me a problem for me to fix instead of me fixing my own problems. So what advice do you have for people that don't even look for a counselor to catch them? They just know if they fall, then climb yourself back out of the pit or whatever. I don't even, you know what I'm saying? Like, literally, I'm sitting here like, y'all, your book is so good and I got enough money to buy everybody a book. And that's literally what I want to do instead of like, girl, you're getting all this good information, why you still worried about if everybody else get a book?
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So that's just me and who I am.
Right.
When I'll take this book and probably don't read it and give it to somebody if I feel like they need it more than me. When I know I need this book
Right.
more than everybody in here probably. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how to come back from being that type of a hypocrite just because it feels good to help somebody heal.
Can I talk to you real quick? What's your name?
It's easy to say Tanya. Even
Tanya.
that, I don't even like my own name. I just go say Tanya because saying Tanya makes me feel like that little girl that got left. And I don't want to worry about the little girl that got left. I'm trying to help the grown woman that's already here. And so even going
Same
back
time.
to
Santanja.
So it's like,
Tanya, yeah.
Santanja.
is it like abandonment issue? Is what it sounds.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I notice what it is. Like, I'll say things like, my mom didn't want to have me, but thank God she did, type situation. Because
Right.
that's all I ever heard. Then she died when I was 12, which she never raised me, though. It's just a whole bunch of mess that I don't even look back at it because
Right.
it'll keep me there.
Right.
So I try to just move forward. But when I meet someone that has that same issue, I feel like it's my responsibility to help them. But then,
Right.
girl, you didn't even help yourself. So it's like, am I passing the wrong energy, or am I giving my energy away? But either way, I'm cool with it because I feel like I don't deserve it anyway. So how do you get back to, or how do you even get to loving yourself if you never even experienced love at all except for giving it away?
What
You
you
are.
got? What you got?
Yeah, I was about to say
What you
before I
got,
say
Shay?
something. What? Cause you.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry, don't be.
No, don't be.
Later.
Don't be
And then I want
sorry.
to be a motivational speaker, but I need to be overcoming, being overcome by my testimony is my good friend say, she's like the only friend I have.
But before I let you say something,
Yeah,
too,
go
I
ahead.
think so for me, you need that pain, like we just talking about. You have to have that. So I'm in the gym. I lift weights. The only way you can get to that next level or the next resistance is you have to go through that first step. You can't get to level 10 until you get to level 7. So without experiencing these pains you're going through right now, you got to do that before you can even fully help somebody else, because at that point it's just the blind leading the blind.
Yeah.
So
That's why I said a healing hypocrite.
yeah, but experience that pain. You need this stuff, and it's not like you just trying to find a way to forgive yourself, or at least heal from a lot of abandonment issues, because you feel like it's not that nobody will help you. You just don't trust somebody to help you because you've been left before a previous time, whether it's leaving life or distrust. But go say what you.
Can y'all bring it back from Coach Trey yesterday?
Yeah, I promise you, I'm gonna touch on that. That's one of the things that you're right with me, Tasha, but there's more there.
Yes.
But she keeps raising her hand. Go ahead.
Yes.
To speak from, I understand how you feel. I come from a similar background. My biological father found me on. So when you say that you self-sabotage yourself, what it is that you are loving people in the way that you want to be loved.
Exactly.
And not understanding that the way that you want to be loved may not be the love language that they speak.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you may want somebody to hug you every day and you feel love that day, but they may just want somebody to speak to them. And that's how they obtain love. That's how they feel valued and feel loved. So in order to redirect your mind out of feeling the way that you're feeling and kind of pull yourself back, you have to learn and understand to be selfish, and have to understand that it's okay to be selfish. You know what I'm saying? Everybody does not deserve to have access to you. Some people, they are there to pour into you, and some people are there to tip your glass over and make sure that you're doing good and not doing better than them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you have to understand within yourself, okay, what do Tanya need to love Tanya? What makes me feel valued? What makes me feel important? What makes me feel wanted? What makes me feel less of that abandoned girl and more of that wanted woman? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's why I be feeling like, I've come to grips with that's what makes me feel better, but I don't think it's like a temporary fix or
But
something.
It
it's
is.
something that you
Helping
have to
others.
practice every day. And I'm telling you that because these are things that I'm 32.
I'm 47.
Yeah, I'm 32. And a lot of situations that I've dealt with in life, I've dealt with them alone because I chose to deal with them alone. It's literally until maybe the last year or two that I've understood I got all these people around me, all these people that love me, all these people that feel my energy. Literally, people will just, where are you at? Where are you? Call me and be like, you good, Tay? How's your mental? I just feel like you got something going on. You okay? You need somebody to talk to? You have to find those people and surround yourself with them all the time until you feel like you are important enough. You are, like me, I got sticky notes in my bathroom. And I put them on my mirror. And I tell myself I'm important, I'm loved, money is attractive to me, money flows to me and money have a good relationship, my kids love me, I'm surrounded by people who love me, I'm surrounded by people who want me. Even when I feel unwanted, I know that there's somebody that loves me enough to just show up in the moments that I need them to show up, and they're gonna pour into me the way that I pour into them. And I always ask God, remove everybody from around me that is not mutually beneficial. If I'm not beneficial to you in some way, that means we do not need to be connected. I want to be beneficial to you the way that you are beneficial to me. You have to surround yourself with those type of people and understand that you are loved, because if you are surrounding yourself with people that you feel like you're always pouring into, you're enabling them. that make sense?
I can see it. My kids.
You're enabling them. So you have to be conscious enough to understand and know that I'm benefiting you, but you're draining me. And I can't refuel myself because I'm not surrounded by people who know that I need to be refueled. Therefore, I have to be selfish in this moment of my life. And it's gonna be hard. Like people
It's real hard.
they're gonna come at you, they're gonna be like, you're this, you're that, but you have to be okay with it because your mental state and your foundation and you grounding yourself is more important than the feelings of others.
So if I could jump in here real
Theoretically,
quick.
you're enabling other people because you're always showing up.
Thank you for sharing that. So if I could jump in here real quick, Tanya. First thing I want to do is acknowledge you for your honesty. That's the first place I want to start because number one, it takes a lot of courage to do what you just did in front of strangers. That's a big, bold move. So I acknowledge you for that. Number two, I want you to also realize that what you're doing is you're trying to compensate. The little girl in you went through some trauma. And that little girl in you, just like my little boy in me, so I'm not speaking derogatory to you. All of us, grown men, we have a little boy in us. All of us, grown women, we have little girls in us. And whatever that trauma was that the little girl experienced is what the now 47-year-old woman is trying to compensate for. So Tasha brought up Coach Trey from last night. And it's interesting because I felt you, Tasha. That's exactly what God put in my spirit to tell her. Because it happened to me. And I'll use my story and I'll bring it back. My dad left. And so I 11 years old, I went and got my first job. I'm 11. I'm supposed to be playing with toys. I'm supposed to be jumping off trees and being a kid. I had to be responsible at 11. My mom worked 3, 4 jobs. So not only did I work a job, I was another parent. I had 2 younger siblings that my mom couldn't afford a babysitter. I was the babysitter. I became dad. Let me tell you how deep this got. My mom would want to tell my brothers something and they're not listening to her. She would call me. Well, you know that you're your dad, you're their dad. They're only going to listen to you. And I'll have one conversation. My brothers would do what it was. So I didn't realize that all of that was making me somebody. And it wasn't until I then started having my own children. And I would, like as an example, I would watch a movie and I would see a father and a son having a moment and I'm crying. And I'm like, what is this? I don't even know why I'm crying. I thought I was okay, but it was my dad. So not only did a little boy need his father, but a grown man does too. But listen, here's what Coach taught yesterday. He said, it's your blueprint. So you created this blueprint for yourself. And it sounds like part of what you did with your blueprint was to compensate for the little girl to compensate. She now has to go help other people who have similar challenges or who she thinks has similar challenges. So until you go back and you allow that little girl to address her challenges in the same way this grown, powerful woman just openly in front of strangers and shared bared her soul. Everything else you're going to do on top between now and then is just band-aid on a broken bone. And so another piece is to go a little deeper. What you don't heal, what you don't reveal, you don't heal. Let me say that again. What you don't reveal, you don't heal. That is gospel, it's fact. You can fight it all you want. Until you adhere to gravity, jump, see what happens. This is the same thing. It's a principle. So I'm proud of you for revealing what you revealed now. But I would also encourage you to reveal that and even more to a person who has gone to school, who is properly equipped. I'm talking about a therapist. And I'm not just talking to Tanya. Everybody in this room has experienced some level of trauma. All of us. I don't care who you are. I don't care how great your parents were. Until you let your little boy, your little girl reveal the trauma that he or she has not yet healed from. That grown man that I'm looking at or grown woman I'm looking at right now will not heal. So you need to sit with somebody. As much as we're going to offer you advice and offer you help, we're not properly equipped. If you want to learn how to get your shoes fixed, you don't go to the plumber. He can only offer you some type of glue. He can't tell you the entire process. So I would highly encourage you, number one, to make sure you're okay with sharing and bearing that thing that you've been carrying for so long. Number two, make sure you do that with the proper person. Okay? And then the third thing I would say to you, sis, is it seems like you're ready. Because for you to do what you just did, man, I tip my hat off to you. Here's the thing I'm gonna tell you. I can't wait to see who you become. Because if you were already this type of person carrying all of that, I can't wait to see who you become when you unload all of that in front of somebody who's capable of teaching you how to leave it where you unloaded it. And if you heard me earlier, Coach Trey, that would be where I would suggest you go. Call that man. Promise you, sis. If you want his number, go talk to Eric Eve. He'll give you his phone number. But he will bless you, sis.
I'll say this. You about to say something?
I just have one other thing to add from what Coach Trey said, and to kind of echo what Taylor said about enabling other people. You said it about letting people call you at 10 o'clock.
Yes.
You are, when we have that filter that we see the world in, that hit me hard yesterday. I know I didn't share a lot at our experience last night, but that hit me hard. I came from a terrible relationship, and I moved to Texas, and me and my kid, and I was like, I'm moving here because it's cheaper. I can live here as a single mom, and I don't need nobody. And I ended up here. And doing that, the process that brought me to do that shed light. I had to shed light. I had to expose my world to the things that had happened to me in my relationship, to what I had gone through.
Right.
To push me out of it so that I could get through it, get past it, and get to this point where I felt like, now I surrender. Now, whatever's meant for me is meant for me.
Right.
And I'll end up wherever I end up. And this is where I was led.
Right.
Thinking that was the end, thinking this was my end. I was coming here to be on my own, be the boss, bitch that I was, and kill it like I was killing it in every other aspect of my life. And what happened? God revealed this man. What happened? That got all of us in this room today. But last night, full disclosure, we're year one in marriage, and we face our challenges. And I look at him, and I know this amazing man that he is. And then sometimes I see traits or things. Eric, don't kill me. I see things where I'm like, I've been running from that. That's not what I wanted. I was looking for that. You're not this man, and why is this showing up? And last night, Coach Trey said, when we haven't fully seen, accepted, moved past the blueprint that we have built within us, we impose that blueprint on people that don't even hold that blueprint.
That's right.
Eric is not that person.
Not even close.
Not even close. But I can see moments. And again, the light has helped me to recognize and be like, whoa.
Yeah.
Slow down. You're doing something that's making him do this.
Right.
He's not that man.
Right.
So that enabling that Taylor's talking about, it's not just you're enabling them, you're enabling them to be that same person that you keep seeing.
Yeah.
To you.
Yeah.
Not just in their own lives.
Right. I think part of that too, I don't mean to jump in those. I think part of that too is it's a self-perpetuating thing in that you can't, it'll drive you crazy, literally, for your life not to show up the way you believe it's supposed to show up. There's a story of the frog and the scorpion. Y'all familiar with the story? The frog and the scorpion meet at the riverbank at the same time. The frog can't swim across, but the scorpion can. And so the frog asked the scorpion if he could jump on his back so he can catch a ride to the other side. And the scorpion, then he thought about it. The frog thought about it. He's like, no, I'm not going to do that because if I jump on your back, you're going to sting me and I'll die. And the scorpion's like, man, why would I do that? If I sting you and you're trying to die, you're going to pull me down with you. He's like, you know what? You're right. He jumped on his back. They get out there halfway. Scorpion stings the frog. Frog can't believe it. He's like, man, you just told me we both gonna die. And as they both are about to die, the scorpion says and the frog says to the scorpion, well, why would you do that? He said, because I'm a scorpion. I sting frogs. In other words, he needed to stay consistent with who he believed he is, even though he knew it was going to kill both of them. So just consider for a second that what lives in your blind spot, the part you can't see, is that little girl is being consistent with who she believes she needs to be, because that's the same thing that causes us to see those same traits in that other person who's nowhere near the other person. It's because we got to stay consistent with who we tell ourselves that we are. Because what happens is, people who they say have a fractured mind or a split personality is because their brain can't handle that truth of who they are. So they split in order for them to believe, oh, I can do this and I can do this. So it's a real thing. This is why I'm saying that. You see that concept I just gave you? I learned that from somebody who's licensed in therapy to help people. So this is why I'm saying I cannot encourage you enough. You can ask us, we'll give you advice, we'll share our best from our hearts. You can talk to your mom, whomever, they love you, or your sister, whoever. But until you talk to somebody who's equipped, I hope you hear my heart.
I need a new person.
You need to find Coach Trey.
No, for real, I had one. It just wasn't doing nothing
Yeah,
for me. But
talk to him.
Like I said, I didn't know if I was accepting it or not.
Yeah, talk to him.
Someone say, just, you have to let the past be the past. That's not good enough for me
No.
because it didn't help.
You need to understand. And then the little girl needs an opportunity to release. That's what I'm telling you. Talk to Coach Trey.
You gotta find the right one too, right therapist. You don't go to anybody and accept them. If you don't feel right, don't feel right. Find the right person. And it's all right to move from another one to another one.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I ain't know.
No, you good.
Yeah, that was it.
I want to say one thing too as well. Always remember something. It's the physical realm, right? Where you come from. You come from the divine, the omni, the one, right? Who are you? You're a little light inside your pineal gland that's operating this realm. Buddha sat under a tree for 49 days and meditated, and he got out of that meditation and realized none of this matters. It's just an experience.
Right.
Always remember that. I'm not going to hold you long, but that's just how I want you to remember that. Because you are the one. You are from the divine, and you have greatness within you. So always remember that, Spiritual being having a physical experience. Don't get too physical. Have a balance.
Snap.
Man.
No, for real.
Like Buddha just spoke.
Yeah, no, for real.
Before the elevate, before we applaud, I mean, wow, D. I'm glad y'all was able to do that today. 'Cause my throat cannot handle anymore. Let's give these gentlemen all a round of applause. People had to go. Tanja, please see Mia. I know you wanted to.